You ever look at something simple, like, say, a jar of honey on a shelf, and wonder what it really took to get it there? Well, the answer is probably way more complex than you'd think. Today, we're going to follow the story of this one jar, from the supermarket all the way back to its source, and what we'll find is a hidden world of hard work and some pretty unexpected challenges.
Okay, so our journey starts right here with this jar of Tava honey. I mean, look at it. The label says pure goodness in every hive. And it looks just like that, right? Simple, clean, kind of perfect. But here's the thing. That polished final product, that's just the end of the story. And the story itself, well, it's not always so simple or clean.
So, where do we start digging? Well, the first clue is staring us right in the face, the label. Let's decode this thing and see what's really going on inside. All right, let's flip this jar around. The back is just packed with info. You've got two main parts here. On one side, you have your standard nutritional facts. On the other, a little description of the honey itself. So let's break it all down.
The nutritional label is pretty much what you'd expect from honey, right? You've got 64 calories per tablespoon, and it's almost entirely from natural sugars and carbs. Zero fat, zero protein. It's just pure, simple energy straight from the hive.
Now, the other label talks about how honey is a natural sweetener, it has antioxidants, all that good stuff. It also reminds us that, moderation is key. But buried in this text is something way more important for our story.
And there it is, our first big clue, produced by Tavaland Organic Farms. Boom! Just like that, we have a name, we have a place, and suddenly our little story here just got a whole lot bigger than what's printed on this jar.
Okay, let's leave the supermarket shelf behind. We're heading straight to the source, to Tavaland Organic Farms, to really understand the world that creates this stuff.
And here it is. This beautiful golden honey is the sweet reward of all their work. But here's what's interesting. Beekeeping, that's just one piece of a much larger puzzle. So, what else is happening at Tavaland Organic Farms?
And that question, that's where everything changes. Because see, the farm isn't just home to bees. It's also home to other animals. And, well, those animals have to eat. And that simple fact leads us to a completely different kind of harvest.
So get ready for a total shift in scenery. We're about to move from the, delicate work of beekeeping to something a lot more earthy, a lot more labor-intensive. This is what you could call the farm's other harvest.
And this other harvest is something called silage. Now, if you've never heard of it, silage is basically pickled grass. Seriously, it's a way to take green stuff, like this elephant grass they're using, and preserve it. That way, the livestock have plenty to eat, especially during the dry seasons.
And let me tell you, making this stuff is hard work. The farmer walked us through it. First, you have to completely clear and flatten a piece of land. Then, once you've harvested all that grass, you have to lay down this huge sheet of plastic to create a base. It's this really methodical, really demanding process. But in farming, there is always one factor you can never, ever control, no matter how well you plan your day. And on this particular day, that factor decided to make an appearance. I'm talking about the weather.
Yeah, you can hear it straight from the farmer. The rain just interrupts the whole process. Everything has to stop. All that hard work just gets put on hold, and now you're completely at the mercy of the sky.
So what do? How does a farmer deal with a setback like this? Well, this is where we get to the real heart of our story. It's about a philosophy, really. One that ties everything, from that perfect jar of honey to these rain-soaked fields, all together.
And this is where you see this beautiful contradiction of a farmer's life. Because on one hand, the farmer will tell you they love the rain. I mean, they're desperate for it. It's what makes the grass grow, it gives the animals water. But on the other hand, if that same rain finds you right in the middle of making silage, it brings everything to a grinding halt. And the farmer just sums up this entire philosophy perfectly. He explains that the rain is both a blessing and a challenge. Or, as he puts it, it's two sides of the same coin. And that phrase, two sides of the same coin, just perfectly mirrors the two worlds we've seen today, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the pristine product, clean, simple, ready to go. And on the other, you've got the challenging process, muddy, unpredictable, the hard work that makes it all possible. So what's the big takeaway here? What did this one jar of honey really show us? It's this. Behind every simple product you see on a shelf, there is a complex process. And behind every one of those processes, there's a human story. A story of hard work, of challenges, and of the philosophy you need to deal with it all.
So the next time you're at the grocery store, maybe just take a second. Look at whatever's in your cart and ask yourself. You can see the product, but can you imagine the process? What's the hidden story, the other side of the coin, that's waiting to be discovered right there on your table?